And we're live. Great to be back with you again. It's been 2 weeks since our last show, and I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who reached out after our comeback show to say it was great to see Grant and I together. I think most of you meant it was great to be just to see me. Grant was merely here like an appendage. You're like an appendix. Do we really need you? I don't know.
It's like the second kidney. Do you really need two kidneys?
Oh gosh, yeah. I think the Department of Redundancy department is very important.
Okay, I want to know where you found that shirt.
Oh, this is a Robert Graham.
Really?
Yeah, so Robert Graham is my favorite kind of fun designer. I buy all of my Robert Graham shirts up at Sawgrass. Robert Graham has an outlet store there.
Are they cheaper there? Or is it just...
Probably they have more things on sale. But the funny thing about Robert Graham shirts is that either I'm like a double X or like a 4XB. And there's never really any rhyme or reason about what size I'm going to be until I try on the shirt. Because they have all these different cuts, like a slim cut, a funky cut, a
what cut are you?
Cut. This is a double X, but I think it's a regular cut.
I think it's too big.
It's probably a little bit big, but I really like this shirt. And I wanted to look nice for you today.
Okay, what about your hair? What's up with your hair? It's like...
Well, I don't know.
It's pretty hot
looking. Thank you for noticing.
Everybody notices it.
I do get a lot of compliments about like what's happening with my hair. So, you know, I lost all of my hair.
You did?
During chemo.
Hey, wait, hair?
Every bit of it. No, every hair. I had no hair.
You're like...
The only thing that
what
was
kind of dog
left
has
were
no
my
hair?
eyebrows.
What's a dog that has no hair?
A hairless dog?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is this a joke?
No, I'm just wondering.
Oh, some breed of dog with no hair.
Yeah.
Oh, I can think of it. They're super wrinkly looking.
Yeah, right. That's you. That was you.
Well, I wasn't super wrinkly, but the only thing that survived chemo on me were my eyebrows. So every bit of the rest of my hair fell out. Chest hair, hair on my head, everything, my beard, everything was gone. And then little by little, it started to come back. I think it took about 3 or 4 months. But the interesting thing is I kept asking the doctor, I'm like, well, what's going to happen with my hair? And he's like, well, it could come back. It couldn't come back. But it came back completely different than my hair before. Different color, different texture, kind of different lay of the land kind of thing.
I think it's quite unique. All right,
I'm glad that you noticed. You make me feel really attractive.
What are we going to... Well, you are. You never look better.
You're very kind.
We should talk about... Everybody's talking about it. The women's basketball.
Yeah? We talked about it last week, and Amy Donner, you know, wrote a comment in our comment section about Caitlin Clark. A little off base.
No,
Nobody here ever said she got kicked off the team. We said she wasn't selected. They didn't take any.
No, I might have said it by mistake.
Oh, they didn't take any rookies this year. It's a pretty veteran team.
Yes.
I don't think the women have ever lost a game in the Olympics since women's basketball kind of went the pro route.
Okay. We could talk about the debate.
Yeah, did you watch on Thursday night?
Yes.
So it was fascinating. I think, you know, people are continuing to sort of sort it out for themselves. I don't think it matters what their party affiliations are, but I think everybody sort of walked away disappointed for America. You know, we have great political leaders. I even think about so many of our local political leaders who do such great work here and are so dedicated to the community. But you really want your national leaders and certainly people who, you know, could represent you as president of the United States. You want them at their very best. So I think the debate will continue. I mean, obviously there's a lot more discussion to take place. The election is, you know, November. And there are a lot that will happen between now and then. The world is constantly in a state of motion and commotion. And we'll just have to keep an eye on what's going on.
Okay. Who is your favorite past elected official?
Gosh.
Well, we can't count Abe because I know Abe Lincoln.
No, but you're talking about maybe a local.
Oh, any local, national in your lifetime. Who is your favorite?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, I have to tell you that like when I first got involved at the chamber and we were putting together our like government affairs work, I loved working with, you know, people like Nick Duran, you know, who whenever you reached out to them, I mean, they were just a phone call
What's
away.
Nick doing?
I loved working with Mayor Kaysen. You know, he had only lived in the community for a year or two before
But he didn't act
had
like
run
that.
for mayor.
When he ran for office, you felt that he was Coral Gables. He
was very all in, and I think that's, I think that's one of the things that is a hallmark. If you're really a dedicated public servant, and again, we have greatly fortunate relationships with, elected officials at all levels, people who will open their doors for us, for our members, for our issues. But, I think it's really special when you can pick up the phone and, have a conversation about maybe a particular issue or a particular business. And sometimes the most effective people aren't elected, but they work right behind or alongside or next to that elected official. Great, city and county folks. We just saw our good friend Gabriel Paez here, who's doing a show in the back today. Just a wonderful public servant that works with Daniela Levine Cava and just really represents this community and the greater community.
You can't figure out one of your past elected officials, Coral Gables. You had some great mayors in Coral Gables.
I just told you about Jim Case, and I told you about State Rep Nick Duran. I loved working with Ileana Ross-Layton. There was a person that no time of day, she was always available to us. We'd go to D.C., and I know she watched our show, and she wrote some really nice things about us being together.
No, not us.
She didn't really have a lot of nice things to say about you.
She just said, you look great. Compared to Grant, that's no big deal.
Well, they don't make them like Ileana Ross-Layton anymore.
No, she is one special person.
To serve nearly 30 years in Congress and serve in our state before that, I mean, that is something that I don't think we'll ever see again in our lifetimes. One, I think people get frustrated. I think they get jaded. I think they get concerned that, there's a level of effectiveness that maybe they cannot reach. And so, when people are at their best, I think as communities, we have the opportunity to be at our best. And whether you agree or disagree, or you're a member of one party or another, I think the reality is that we want to have civil discourse. We want to have conversations that are meaningful and lead to some type of, resolution or outcome. And I'm just grateful in my role at the chamber is that those doors are always open to us. And so I'll be forever grateful to any and every elected official. But those are two or three that in the past have worked so closely with us. I'm incredibly grateful to, obviously, Mayor Lago today, no matter what the issue. I went to my first ribbon cutting last week. Wait, for the first time in a year or so.
Really? Seemed like you were at plenty of them.
Pretty big one. And
which one was that?
Los Ranchos, one of our restaurant members.
Where's that?
Right there on Ponce Circle in Coral Gables. Now,
I love Los Ranchos.
Some people might remember that Los Ranchos was there before, closed. That space was empty for a long time. And then they've come back, and it's really awesome because it's a family-owned business. It's got some new faces involved with it. It's a beautiful, bright space. And I think it's really great for Coral Gables.
Wait, is that where French Connection used to be? On the curve?
Oh, gosh. No, I think that was on the other side because that was closer to, I think, Arthur Murray. This is next to PNC Bank.
Wow.
It was there for a number of years. And then the space sat empty for quite a while. So I know George asked about new restaurants. Well, Los Ranchos just opened a week or so ago.
Local owners?
Yeah, they're always local. First time I ever went to Los Ranchos, I worked for the city of Miami, and they have a location at Bayside. And I went with some of my colleagues, and I'd never eaten at a Los Ranchos before. And you go in, and has the big, heavy chairs, and you feel like you're in Spain, you feel like you're in the mother country. And the food is amazing. The beans, the rice, the churrasco. Oh my goodness, incredible. So, but you know what?
No,
Lago was there. Demi Busada was there, our state rep.
Our favorite state rep from Coral Gables.
Just really great to see them out representing business, seeing Ralph and the previous generations, one of the owners, investors. Just really cool. And a lot of our members were there supporting the event. Just so many great members of the community. And you know what? opening a business is hard. Opening a restaurant is even harder. Family business is even harder. You know that. You and your brother own a family business. And you've got to get up every day early, and you've got to chase the clients and build the base and constantly be working on the business, even while you're working in the business. And yeah, you're chasing money. You're collecting. I've talked to you sometimes on a Saturday and Sunday. You're delivering newspapers.
Of course.
And you know what? I have a lot of regard and respect for that. I grew up, as you know,
cooking at Wendy's.
In a family business. My dad owned a number of Wendy's restaurants. He and my brother.
What was the most favorite thing on the menu?
My goodness. Well, listen, this is a body that was built by Wendy's, so I had a lot of favorites, but my favorite was the Frosty.
I love the chili there.
The chili is pretty darn amazing. I don't think I had an appreciation for the chili when I was 8 or 9 years old. It was a little too sophisticated for my palate.
The meat, everybody says, it's 2 days old, 3 days old.
No. The meat was the burgers that didn't get sold. Mr. Dave Thomas was a big believer in not wasting anything. He learned all about the restaurant business from Colonel Sanders. He learned for years how to really, make a restaurant work. And so he took, I think, the best elements that he learned at Kentucky Fried Chicken and took it and created Wendy's. Remember, the real name is Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers. So the idea is that the burger is square because you want it to cover the whole bun.
Right.
The idea is that meat is never frozen. It's always fresh. And it's cooked to order. So you could order at the time when I was a kid, you could get your hamburger up to 256 different ways. You could get it with just ketchup and mustard, just onion, ketchup, mustard, onion. And as a kid, because I was a fat kid, I wanted to try every single one of those. So I had a list, every permutation that you could have, and I would check that list off. And remember, you could get it as a single, double, or triple.
How many burgers? What was the most burgers you ate at one time?
Oh, goodness. Probably would eat maybe 2 singles at once. I remember once I ordered a triple, and my father was annoyed.
Wow.
Annoyed because I was probably 11 or 12. And he goes, "You're not going to be able to eat that." And he was right. I couldn't eat it. And he made me take that burger home and eat it later because, my father didn't believe in waste either. And, he goes, "That'll teach you next time." And you know that ever since then,
you never ordered
I have never had another triple in my life. But I came to love the chili. I remember the guys would come in early in the morning because the chili would simmer on the pot, on the stove for hours before it was served. I mean, it is, I think, the best chili in the business. No offense to our friend Dave at Arbetters. But
well, the chili on
the
tater
beans,
tots,
the meat, the spices. And so today I almost always order chili when I go to Wendy's. They've tinkered with the fries over the years.
Which Wendy's do you like the best? The one on Red Road? Yeah.
Oh, so the one I go to is closer to my home, which is on Hialeah Drive, very close to Charlie's, kind of catty corner. So I am that fat guy that will go to Wendy's and get a chili, and while I'm waiting in the drive-thru to get an avalanche at Charlie's, I'm eating my chili. So now my mouth is like all spiced up,
and then you got an ice cream,
and then I put an avalanche on top of it.
All right, so what's
probably not so great for the waistline, but boy, is it good.
All right, so you had Gale Brothers, what organization?
Yeah, Gale Nelson, Mr. Gale Nelson, who is the CEO. Big Brothers Big Sisters was our keynote speaker at the breakfast a couple weeks ago. My goodness. So one of the things that he does that I think if you haven't seen him speak before is that he tells a story about a little boy who grew up, did not have a relationship with his father, who really relied upon a single mother. And all the trials and tribulations that he went through and the challenges he had. And then the last picture is a picture of him. And he goes, "And that little boy was me." And I think, first of all, it warms the crowd. We had probably 250 people.
That's a big turnout for breakfast.
Big turnout for us. Big turnout.
No, it's anybody.
And really incredible to see kind of people melt, not only with his personal story, but to understand that to this day, the need for mentorship, the need for bigs, even if you don't think you have the time, there are bigs for business where you can do a mentorship program. You can be a big brother, even virtually. And it's a program that I want to follow up with him about.
Matt did that. Matt Haggard?
Matt Hagman?
Hagman. He did one, and that kid ended up playing football somewhere.
Matt had a big for many, many years, and he went to University of Alabama, won national championships, but his big ended up being a star player who got drafted to the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. What's happening here?
Are you hungry?
Well, first of all, I'm always hungry.
Chicken sandwich or chicken nuggets?
Oh, I'm a nuggets kind of guy.
I know that. I brought you nuggets.
Did you send this young man out to do your bidding?
No, we're waiting for the nuggets. Here are your nuggets.
My goodness, you take very good care of me. So, what sauce do you have? Just regular Chick-fil-A sauce? That will do. That will do. Thank you very much. We have a great team of producers here today. They take care of a little bit of everything. You can give the waffle fries to Mr. Miller here. So one of the things that, I think Gail wanted the group to walk away with was that, even if you have the most limited time in your schedule, there are ways to be a great mentor. And I was thinking that when I first got involved with the Children's Trust 7 or 8 years ago, we were having a significant problem in the summer with kids that were dying. They were home alone in many cases or unattended. And so we came up with a great internship program. But with that came, I think, a very meaningful reimagination of being great mentors. And we're lucky, this summer we have 3 folks that are interning with us from FIU, from Florida State. And we have 1 high school student who's doing events with us, who's our 4th person, actually. And, I think our job is to also be a great mentor to our other small businesses, and specifically to, show that even as a small company of 10 or so employees, that we can also be, engaged in this space and be role models.
Don't you have a big swim program going on right now?
Oh, which one?
Swim.
Yeah, I want to really thank Natalia Zaya, who works with the Trust, and this is one of her pilot programs, one of her babies. It's hard to believe, but it is not a mandatory program where little kids, babies, learn to swim, even if it's to roll over on their back so that they can save themselves if they fall in the pool or get to the side of a pool. There isn't a day that goes by that you don't hear about some type of near drowning or accidental drowning.
You're picking them up and driving them to the school, back from the school. Is that something like you?
Broward's had this program for a while, and so the Trust and some other partners have invested in this. But I'm so proud of the Trust for continuing to identify needs in the community, whether a number of years ago it related to the mentorship, internship programs, or the program that is happening this summer to train as many kids as possible to learn to swim. There is water danger everywhere in Miami, not just swimming pools in your backyard, but, water in canals and other places. And so we have to do our part, not only as an organization, but I think we have to do our part as a community.
Are you the treasurer?
Because there are many. I'm the former treasurer, but I served on the board almost 8 years before I stepped away. It was a great experience.
They do great work.
We gather a tremendous amount of support from the community, about $200 million a year. And when I first started the Trust, it was probably about 140 million at the time. But as property values have gone up over the last 8 years, that pot has increased, as has the need. And one of the things I would tell you is that the day that money is collected, it's spent, because the need is so great in our community, whether it is dealing with challenges in Homestead all the way to Aventura and every community in between. And we have some wonderful community-based organizations.
Can you talk about the tax? How
take that money? So every household, every taxpayer pays into that pot. This past year, that was 0.5 mils. That's a small amount of money. So you might pay a couple $100 a year, but that money is leveraged and stretched and, met with other dollars from, local nonprofits and CBOs. And we turn it into hundreds of millions of dollars by the time it's fully invested. But this was a vision of, David Lawrence and a group of other people 21 years ago. Hard to believe.
We
and
voted
it's been
on
elected twice to create its permanency.
But it's done being voted on, right?
It does not anymore. So it was first passed by the voters, and then 5 years later was affirmed. And that made it permanent. And so now the focus can really be on doing the good work. And so proud that the Chambers of Commerce have a seat at that table, along with so many other wonderful partners. Mayor Daniela Levine-Cava's office has a representative there. The governor has a number of appointees. We have at-large seats, FIU, University of Miami, the superintendent. We have elected officials who sit on that, Danielle Higgins-Cohen, Alex Rizzo. They're just great folks.
That's state rep. Alex Rizzo is state rep.
Yeah. Representing, we have folks who represent League of Cities, people who are in the, the research space. I mean, talk about an organization. And a couple of weeks ago when Miami Today asked me to, list organizations that I think were doing just unsung hero work, that was my only response, was the Children's Trust. And I believe that today, and will always believe that. Jim Hodge, his senior leadership, I talked about Natalia already, but Jacques and Imran and the whole crew there, just terrific.
He went to Southwest High School, Jim Hodge.
Yeah. A couple years ago, maybe. I think he got
inducted into the
Hall of Fame. Really cool.
Yeah, he
worked for the school system for many years. And then he brought that expertise. And I think one of the things that the Trust does is really reaches out into every community. Every community.
How many organizations
meeting those needs?
How many organizations do they give money to?
Hundreds of organizations. Literally hundreds. And some get, significant amounts of money, then they're on a 5-year cycle, and others get dollars, for specific projects, and a little bit of everything in between.
Isn't it impressive?
Very impressive. Honored to have been part of that for many, many years, and look forward to just continuing to watch their great success. Great for Miami-Dade. Should be something that we hold very dear to our hearts.
Speaking about Miami-Dade, there's a little shuffle. New president of Homestead, new president of Kendall.
Oh, Miami-Dade College. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the heart and soul of Miami, the largest college.
Cruz left to be another president.
Right.
And so, one thing I think that, Madeline Pumariega as president of the system does is that she cultivates great talent. When she first was named president, she looked at every one of those presidencies, and that's how Anthony ended up where he ended up. She invested in him. She brought in Miriam Borrego. She brought in Malou Harrison to be her provost. Really great people. Malou's on the Children's Trust. There's another example of that cross-pollination of leadership.
People don't realize, like, when you go to the Wolfson Center downtown, it feels like a real college.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's hustle and bustle.
Over 100,000 members of our community go to school there. There is no larger institution of higher learning in the country, and to see that growth, to see the leadership that has been built, from President McCabe to President Padron to President Pumariega, each putting their own imprint on that, the innovation. I think one of the things that I would say that is most impressive about Miami-Dade College, besides its open door, is its nimbleness. And as they see the economy evolve, jobs evolve, they can quickly create a curricula and a program to help meet the needs.
A curricula?
Curricula, that's singular.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Curriculum.
Remember,
It's Latin, my friend.
No wonder I didn't understand it.
It's okay. I took a couple of years of Latin.
Did you?
Of course, Mrs. Schwamm.
Who's that? Your teacher?
That was my teacher in high school. Barbara Schwamm. I had a little crush on her.
You got some new crushes.
I do.
There's an attorney. It's like...
I think what happens is you go through a big change in your life, and you just, come out the other side with a big open heart, big open mind, and,
Bam. Well, we got new president of UM coming in, right?
Yeah, so I figured that search, typically at a university of that stature and level, it's about a year process between the time you begin to identify candidates, go through a process, and usually that person is coming from another major institution.
Right.
So they'll need some time to unhook from there and then, begin their tenure. So, President Frank will be with us for a little bit longer. Joe Echeverria will serve as acting, and university won't miss a beat. Great leadership over there, and great folks like Rudy, and just great.
Speaking of UM, your buddy Andres got a big job, big promotion at UM. What was he doing before? What's he doing now?
You mean Adrian?
Adrian Andres.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Adrian is now director for intergovernmental, so that's a big promotion for him.
And what was he doing before? I thought he was
doing government affairs, but he was not a director.
Was there a director there before?
There may have been some shuffling around, but he has certainly earned that opportunity. He works so closely with us in the work we do in Tallahassee, DC, and even locally. He has a real knack for working with elected officials and has a very good ability to kind of, I think, see the future in terms of, if we go this way, what will that scenario bring? If we go that way, what will that scenario bring? He's very thoughtful. And so happy he's on our board and in our leadership.
He's a team player.
Absolutely. Adrian Nunez. So I don't know who Andres is.
Adrian Nunez.
You've only gotten maybe one name right since this show began. Is that your thing?
Yeah, let's talk about women's basketball. I'm not.
Keep going back to that.
I
don't want to hear from Amy Donner about that. She gets very worked up about that. She's got a little thing for Caitlin Clark.
No,
maybe it's Asia Wilson.
I made a mistake and I said.
Oh, did she give you a hard time?
No.
She didn't beat you up in the parking lot, wait for you late at night?
No. All right. So Caitlin Clark, what's going on in women's basketball is just incredible. Not Caitlin Clark. What's happening in women's basketball?
I think it's women's sports. Yesterday, I watched a special that the SEC network did called "Welcome to the SEC. It Just Means More," and they did a whole evening of welcoming both Oklahoma and Texas officially to the SEC. Because as of July 1, yesterday, the SEC now has 16 members. And that's been a couple years in the planning to grow the SEC, adding those two teams. But they interviewed a lot of the different coaches from the Oklahoma programs. But the three most incredibly successful programs right now are?
Florida?
No, at Oklahoma. Women's gymnastics.
Softball?
Softball are four-time champions, NCAA champions, and gymnastics. And they've got a great women's basketball team. Tennis is on the rise. But it's just really cool because they interviewed all the different coaches. They talked to some of the other coaches like men's basketball, men's tennis. They talked with, those types of folks. But I was most intrigued to find out, what is the secret sauce? What is the secret formula that is going on in Oklahoma? I mean, it is Norman, Oklahoma.
But it's interesting. I interviewed the Nebraska football coach, and nobody to speak of is leaving Nebraska football. There's almost nobody in the portal. And the coach, they asked
the coach now.
I don't know. And they asked the coach, why is that? And he says, well, we have a great football program. We got one of the top athletic departments. We got the best training program. We got one of the most loyal fans. Fans in Oklahoma, they're loyal. Nebraska, they're loyal.
I agree. I mean, 5 years ago when there wasn't the transfer portal the way it is today, there wasn't, the COVID year. There wasn't NIL. People went to programs because of maybe a winning culture, facilities, maybe a relationship with a particular coach. Now, I think those are still important, but now it's NIL money. Now it's, if I don't like it after a year, I don't get the playing time.
I'm gone.
Then I can leave. I mean, it's amazing to me to see the level of movement that started literally the day after the College World Series ended.
You mean for baseball?
Yeah, for baseball. Boom. It was suddenly happening. I mean, we picked up a guy from Clemson who we had just beaten in the Super Regionals to come play for us. We stole a star out of Miami, a freshman who was...
Which one was that?
The freshman of the year. I don't know. I think he's a shortstop.
Kyle? No, Blake?
I don't know. but a superstar. I mean, that's unusual to see that kind of get. And it all happened the day after. You know, Florida overachieved this year. I'll give you that. We didn't have a great season, but we had an incredible postseason for baseball. And that's what I think kids are looking for. I have no doubt that our facilities stack up, you know, with any other program in the SEC, possibly in the nation. But that's what programs have to do now. has had to do that over the years. They brought in coaches who have made that part of their pedigree as well. But I would also tell you that, you know, it's more than that. Before it used to really be, hey, you know, Bob Stoops came into my house and said, you know, you're not leaving in Oklahoma. You're staying here. You're not going to Florida or Miami or somewhere else. And that was all it took. Now it's got to be, you know, this is the NIL deal. This is this. This is this.
Yeah, but these guys getting paid now. You know, they're acting like they don't get paid.
And I have no issue with student athletes because they're being utilized as employees. They're being utilized as, you know, entertainment. We pay every other entertainer. I go to a movie, I got to pay $17 to go in the door.
Well, and how much do you spend in your session?
Well, what do you think I buy?
Bag of popcorn?
No.
A pretzel?
No.
A hot dog?
No. I only get my hot dogs at Arbetter's.
Oh, okay.
I get a Reese's Pieces and a Coke Zero because that balances out, you know.
Oh, yeah, the real balance.
Sort of like a Diet Coke, Coke Zero, and a thing of Reese's Pieces. That's my go-to. I used to be more into the popcorn, but, you know, there's such a variability in popcorn. If it's not freshly popped and that butter isn't really
hot,
greasy, then it's not my cup of tea. So,
all right, what else?
Plus, I'm always picking popcorn out of my teeth. That's not very
And then when
attractive.
you get old, it just drops in the mouth. Check your chicken. Let's check it out. Let's see what you got.
I didn't want to be the guy eating in the middle of a show.
I did it.
So we had a few people reach out to us at the end of last show.
Right.
First of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for texting. Thank you for saying you're thrilled to see Grant and I back. It means a lot. That year away was challenging.
They're not thrilled for Grant. They're thrilled for you back.
No, they're thrilled for both of us. I think people are very excited to see us back together. I think there's been a lot of rumors about what our relationship is really about.
Well, we know what it's about.
I understand.
New silky hair.
You always deny me.
And new shirt. So
you've been very excited today about my shirt and my hair.
Both things.
I'm going to leave the shirt behind. You can wear it as a night dress.
I'm going to go get one just like that.
Robert Graham, outlet store at Sawgrass.
Sawgrass. Where's that? That's next to the hockey.
It's up there by the Amerant Bank Arena, where our Florida Panthers are the Stanley Cup
You didn't go to any
champion.
playoffs, did you?
I didn't. The crowd was probably still a little bit too big for me, but I have to tell you, Jerry Plush, who is the chairman of Amerant Bank,
right?
Great guy, invited me to a number of games, and just let me tell you, super thrilled for their relationship with the Florida Panthers. Super excited for Matt Caldwell. We followed Matt for
Who's Matt?
A number of years. He's the CEO of the Panthers, so he runs all the operations. And he was there on the stage, wet like everybody else, and just so excited, I think, for the players, the fans, the front office. You know, I'm not the biggest hockey fan. I didn't grow up around a lot of hockey, even though I grew up until I was 14 or 15 in Ohio. And we had the Toledo Gold Diggers was our team in Toledo. They're a member of the IHL, not the NHL. But, you know, it was interesting. I grew up in the era of Gordie Howe. I mean, he was, you know, Hall of Famer.
He was a legend.
Absolutely. But what's fun about postseason hockey here in Miami is the way it galvanizes
the community.
But not just our community. Broward, Dade, Palm Beach, all come together. They don't necessarily do that for the Heat or for the Marlins the same way I see it for the Panthers.
Well, the stadium's up there.
It is, and it's really exciting. Thrilled that Amerant has their name all over that.
How much do they pay for that? Whatever it is.
Positive press for them.
It's going to be huge.
Jerry, quite brilliant. You know, he's a hockey guy, grew up in Philly. So, you know, he was, I think, probably in his early life a Flyers guy. But 31 years it took to win a Stanley Cup we went only 4 years after our team was founded, and we didn't win in '96. Correct. And then last year was tough, 4-1. But this year was something special. And I think
I went to one match.
The only way it works is that it had to go 7 games, because that makes you appreciate it more. There's nothing I love more than a Game 7. World Series, Stanley Cup.
One match, that's all.
When we went to Game 7 last year against the Celtics to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that was awesome.
Who's we?
The Heat. It was awesome.
Who'd you go with?
I didn't go to any of the games.
Oh.
But to go and be part of it, I was watching every night. I was alternating between the Panthers and the Heat, because I was in the hospital during that time.
That's short-lived.
So my nephew would come over, 8 o'clock, and we'd watch the game till like 11. Sometimes those Panthers games would go double overtime.
It sure goes on.
My goodness. And that was our thing. And that was every other night. And, I think it had a lot to do with, keeping my spirits high. I looked forward to that all day. And I remember after it was over, I sent a note to Eric Woolworth. And I just
what's he do? VP?
He's the president of basketball for the Heat. And just said,
he is
had a lot to do with my recovery.
Who, Eric?
Just the Heat and having something to look forward to and something to put your limited energy behind, and just success creates success.
His friends, his son played Howard Palmetto. Okay. A little baseball league. One of his sons played in my era, and I don't know him. I just remember how he behaved back then. It was a class act.
Well, he came to the Heat literally right out of law school. I think he went to Georgetown. And a very young guy, he gets hired by, Mickey Arison. And he tells a great story, so I don't think I'm telling anything out of school. But shortly after he started in that role, Mickey calls him and says, "We have a problem. We may have inappropriately and inadvertently had a conversation with Pat Riley of the Knicks about coming to the Heat. Well, you're not allowed to do that. That's called tampering."
Right.
And, that's a big no-no in any major league sport. And so they had to figure that out. And I think that is one of the places that, Eric really cut his teeth. And while he's been with the team all these years. And by the way, they landed Pat Riley. And Riles is still with us, running the show. And if you don't think that guy is in charge, just look at the draft we just had, some of the signings we just had, making the deal to build the team of the future around Bam. Yeah, pretty exciting.
So we're going to talk 2 more minutes because then the time's up.
Yeah.
We got a kid out of Doral High School gets drafted.
Okay.
A high school kid. We got another high school kid. 2 high school kids were drafted, and everybody's making a big deal about LeBron's son.
Oh.
I mean, it's like...
haters going to hate. I think it's a lovely story. For the first time in the history of the NBA, a father and son have the opportunity to play on the same team together.
And he
was a 55th pick. Had they picked him 5th? All right, maybe you question the veracity
second round,
of that.
Right?
He was 55th, late second round.
And the way I look at it, how many shirts did they sell? I hear they sold. I think
it's awesome.
It was a 500,000.
And I hope the very first preseason game they're on the court together.
I think they sold.
What a visual that will be. And you know what,
Rochelle? See how many shirts they sold.
There's probably only one guy
for LeBron's son
who deserves the same opportunity, and that would have been a Michael Jordan. But he didn't have a son that did that.
He had some play.
But you know what? LeBron does.
Yeah,
and Bronny's been through quite a bit. I don't know much about him other than he barely survived, a cardiac issue when he was at USC. So, you know what? More power to him. The Lakers, they're still the Lakers. So
yeah, LeBron James, I can't stand. Somebody said, "Well, he's not as good as Michael Jordan." Well, it's a different era, and LeBron James,
they're not comparable.
Yeah. Well,
it's a different season.
It's completely
Athletes are built differently. Expectations are different. The money's different.
But
they were each the very best of their eras.
LeBron James.
The GOATs.
He's married to the same woman.
Yeah. How about you?
No. A billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, he just built his brand. Incredible.
Built a family. Built a business.
Right. You can't help but love the guy.
He's played, 19 years, 18 years?
He's
and when
40.
it's all done, he's going to have a great next chapter.
Yeah, and they
support his son.
Well, next chapter is buying the team would be part of it.
It'd be awesome if you bought a team.
Well, Michael Jordan owns part of Charlotte, right?
Does he still own part of the Bobcats?
I don't know, but
it's now the Hornets, right?
Yeah, and who tried to buy A-Rod owns part of the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves, yeah. I mean, listen, the Celtics are up for sale.
How much?
I don't know. The last time they were up for sale, majority ownership was 2002. So I'm going to guess in 22 years that team, I think, went from 300 million to probably, what, a couple billion?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any numbers in terms of its valuation, but it's going to be a great return on investment, I would assume, for
whoever bought it.
For this family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they bought it 20 plus years ago. But what a great time to sell your majority shares, because you've just won your 18th championship. You've just signed Jason Tatum.
Who's the real smart guy?
To a major deal.
Is that the real smart guy? There's one guy, he's on Boston.
Tatum?
No, who's a real smart player?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you find out about how many shirts they sell?
Not the number, but it's the number one selling jersey on the...
Bronny is? Cool. What's the number?
I thought...
No, but I mean, what's his number?
Oh, it is number 8.
Number 8.
Number 9, sorry.
Number 9. Now, when you played, what was your number?
I didn't play basketball.
But we played some sport. Did you have a number?
Yeah, 51.
51. At your age.
Or 15. But
what do you think my number is? What's my favorite number?
45.
No.
What?
11.
Why?
Number 1 twice.
Ah, that's pretty good.
Come on, people.
All right, we got
number 11 is my favorite number. So if I ever played a sport, which I only played soccer and we didn't have numbers.
That was in kindergarten.
No, I played soccer till I was in 4th grade. I played, I don't think it's a position anymore. You stand like near the goalie and just talk to them. You don't do a lot of running.
Right, that good one.
My favorite story growing up was when my mom decided that my sister and I were getting kind of chubby. And so she wanted to put us in organized sports. So all of a sudden we're in swimming, which is hard in the winter. We had an indoor pool at the high school, so we swam. I swam butterfly because I was tall and I had big, long arms. So I was butterfly and backstroke. And I remember that my mother would get very mad because I'd come out of the practice and it'd be, like close to dinner time, but it was already dark in Ohio in the winter. And I would go to the car and I had really long hair, thick hair.
Really?
I had thick hair then. And my hair would freeze because I wouldn't take enough time to dry my hair in the locker room. I would just want to get dressed and get out of there. And so my hair would freeze. And then, of course, when you get in the hot car, it would melt and it was wet everywhere. She would get very annoyed at that. And so then in the spring, we played soccer. And so I remember that she signed me up and she's like, here's the list of what we have to buy. So shin guards and the big tube socks. But she had to buy me a cup. And so she
a Dixie cup.
A cup.
Okay.
So she tries to explain to me that we have to go to Kmart and get a, she called it an item to protect my organ. So, I'm stupid. Like, what? My organ? So we go there. And of course, a cup is sized by your waist, nothing else. And at that point I was chubby. So I'm wearing a cup that's built really like for a man. So I can barely like run in this thing. And it was just, again, one of the many embarrassments of my youth. So didn't do a lot of running because that would create some chafing.
And then you'd have a rash.
I had a total rash. And the coach, because I don't think you could do this today, but he'd go down the line, all the boys, because we're all boys team.
Click.
And he'd tap you to make sure you had your cup on. Because a lot of kids would wear the outerwear, the jock,
right, but
wouldn't put the cup in it because it was uncomfortable.
Well, you're in Ohio. That's what happened.
Ohio is the land of the cups. So I don't think I could still fill it out today, but no. God bless my mother for protecting me from a very young age.
Isn't it cold in here?
Are you cold?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I feel like you're about ready to take a nap after you ate all that food.
Oh, so good. I haven't eaten all day.
Second of all, I'm wearing long sleeves.
I am.
I'm still a man of stature.
Ooh.
So write us, tell us what you think. Let us know what's on your mind. We'll respond to it at the next show. Have a great July 4th holiday. One of the great things about this country.
Biltmore?
I am not going to the Biltmore. I'm going on a trip.
Where?
I'm going with my friend Denise, your girlfriend. We're doing the Big C tour.
What's the C?
It's my post-cancer Big C tour.
Okay, where are you going?
We're going to Columbus, Ohio, Canton, Ohio, and Cleveland, Ohio.
Wait. First of all, you're going to Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame.
Yes, we'll go to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, and then you're going to go to where?
So first we're flying to Columbus.
Okay, Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati. No, Cincinnati.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, sorry.
We'll visit Ohio State, the Buckeyes. I'm a Buckeye. Grew up a Buckeye.
But you didn't go to Ohio State.
I did not go to Ohio State. I'm a Gator.
Yeah, I know that.
But we're going to go to the Jack Nicklaus Hall of Fame. It's on the campus.
It's in Cincinnati.
No, it's in Columbus.
Columbus. Why do I keep seeing Cincinnati?
Because you're insane.
It's a C.
So we're flying to Columbus. Then we'll go to Canton, go to the Hall of Fame. Then we'll go up to Cleveland, do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, go to there's a Cleveland game against, I think it's against the Rangers.
That's exciting. Rangers
Very
are
exciting.
good.
Rangers are great. They have a great Gator guy named Wyatt Langford.
Have you been to their stadium?
I have never been there.
Nice stadium.
Is this the Jake, or is this the team after the Jake, or the field after the Jake? Remember when they redid the whole downtown? But I was a kid.
Yeah.
We used to make fun of Cleveland. Now Cleveland's like all legit.
Cleveland's the place to be.
It's all legit.
And then if I were you, I'd go by LeBron's high school.
I should. In Akron?
Yeah.
We're only stopping in C cities. C. Because we're celebrating me beating the Big C. Do you get it? Columbus, Canton, Cleveland.
Why don't you go to Cincinnati? You're right there.
Well, because we only had 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And that's a hike. I've never been to either of those cities, Columbus or Canton. But I've been to Cleveland many times.
You've never been to the Hall of Fame?
No.
Everybody talks about the Baseball Hall of Fame. But
in Cooperstown.
Yeah, but this one is unbelievable. Because all the Hall of Fame football players, their heads are this.
They're busts.
It's like unbelievable.
I agree. It's different.
I'm excited for you.
So looking forward to it. So we fly out on the 4th, and that'll be our July 4th. So we'll take in the activities. Strangely enough, the fireworks in Columbus are on the 3rd. So we won't actually see fireworks.
Chicago does that too.
They do it on the 3rd. So we'll get on the 4th. We're doing fun stuff. My friend Denise is all about finding the obscure items. So there's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger statue in Columbus.
Was she in the military?
She was. She served our country.
Right. What army?
For 10 years she was in the Coast Guard.
I know. I could tell the way she barks at me. Hey,
she barks orders at you?
Yeah.
She's trying to protect you. She's worried about you. She hasn't seen you at the gym in a while. I'm sure it's not her. I'm sure it's you.
I tell you what, just doing that hurts.
So have a great 4th. Remember, this is an amazing, amazing time to celebrate all who have served our country. Being patriots, I think, is something that we should be doing 365 days a year. But if you can only do it 1 day a year, well, this is the day to do it. Take care of each other. Be careful around the fireworks. Don't go crazy. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.